I've generally created the WBS elements. We had already done this for rough construction. I also added details under finishing works, electrical works, and mechanical works. As I mentioned before, this can be expanded or reduced. It completely depends on the user's preferences, how detailed they want their schedule to be, how they want it to look, and what kind of breakdown they want to follow in their project. Now let's create our first activity. I'll track the excavation work as a single activity. By the way, in order to add a new activity, you need to be on the activities screen. So you either click on Add button here or press Insert on your keyboard. So excavation works. It starts on the 12th of May and finishes at 15th of May. The program automatically assumes it's a 5-day activity. This can be modified from admin section. When you press admin preferences here, you see activity duration. Default is 5 days. You can change if you want. For example, if the excavation works will take 20 days, I just enter 20 here. And it will update the original duration accordingly. Now let's create another activity and examine how activities are linked. After excavation, I will begin foundation work, right? What's my first activity there? Blending concrete. Blending concrete will begin after excavation is completed. How do I establish this link? Right now I'm on the blending concrete activity. I go to the predecessors and click Assign. This activity is linked to excavation works. I close this screen. Now let's take a closer look at the Relations section. I see there are 4 types of activity relationships here. Finish to finish, finish to start, start to finish, and start to start. I want to explain this using a template. There are 4 types of activity relationships in Primavera. These are finish to start, start to finish finish, and start to start. We'll begin with finish to start, the most commonly used relationship. If the completion of one activity triggers the start of the next, if activity A finishes and only then activity B can begin, we use finish to start. Start to finish is used when the start of one activity depends on the completion of another. Finish to finish is used when the completion of 2 activities is dependent, if both should finish at the same time. And start to start is used when the start of one activity depends on the start of another. After these relationships, there is one more concept we can define, and it's called lag or slack. Lag can be either positive or negative. Let's begin with positive lag. Suppose activity A is 5-day task and activity B is also 5 days. If activity B should start 7 days after activity A finishes, we use lag. For example, if activity A is slab concrete pouring and activity B is formwork removal, I need to wait for the concrete to cure before removing the forms, so I insert a positive lag. Then there is negative lag. Suppose activity B needs to start 3 days before activity A finishes. In this case, we use negative lag. However, negative lag is not recommended because it can make progress tracking more difficult. Instead, I can create an intermediate activity that lasts 3 days instead of entering -3 as lag. This ensures more accurate scheduling. This in-between task, which we actually don't intend to track in detail but are creating to avoid using lag, is called dummy activity. So these are the basic concepts of activity relationships and lag in Primavera. I'm continuing with defining activities. I said blending concrete as the base. After blending concrete, what's next? I will have waterproofing, formwork, rebar, and finally concrete activities. Let's set them. Okay. Concrete activities, 1 day, For rebar, I say 4 days. Formwork can take 3 days. And waterproofing 2 days. For now, I'm assigning these durations without a plan since there's no actual project at hand, but you will look at the quantities of these tasks based on how many workers you will assign. You will estimate realistic durations. We already linked blending concrete to excavation works. Let's add other assignments. For waterproofing, I select Assign. Waterproofing can only begin after blending concrete finishes. I double click on blending concrete, but I want to wait 1 day to concrete to cure, and I insert 1 for lag. I make the other assignments. And I close the window. For now, all the activities are connected with finish to start logic, but when we look at the Gantt chart, they seem to start on same day. According to the durations I assigned, they appear to proceed accordingly, but I can't see the dependencies in Gantt chart or dates yet. Why? Because I haven't scheduled the program. What does schedule mean? After I assign durations and dependencies in Primavera, I must run a schedule update. This command tells Primavera calculate the timeline based on the relationships and durations I defined. This command is called schedule. To run the schedule command, I can click on schedule icon here, or I go to tools and select schedule. Current data date refers to the date the data starts from. I'll continue. Okay, let's see. Excavation work finishes 21st of May. Then blending concrete starts at 1st day of June. But when we check waterproofing activity, we see Primavera waited 1 day for waterproofing to start. I want to show you another thing. So formwork, rebar, and concrete activities are going to be on basement floor too. So I want to copy these activities. I can add them manually, but I want to show you how to copy them. So I choose formwork and press Ctrl on my keyboard and select rebar and concrete. Ctrl C on my keyboard and Ctrl V on my keyboard. Let's check the predecessors. I don't see a link in predecessor for formwork, but I see this rebar is connected to formwork. But which formwork? Because I have formwork activity for basement and I have formwork activity for foundation. To see this, I click on this assignment and say go to. And I see when I copy an activity, it keeps the assignment, but it will connect the activity as the same WBS element.